If you've ever heard the term or the phrase, it costs $0 to be kind, let me tell you that phrase or that term is just blatantly wrong. It's outright wrong and it really misinterprets the gravity of the situation. Let me explain. If have you ever watched Batman? I guess like all of us as kids and most of us as kids watch the movie Batman, right? You know, it doesn't matter which version you watch the movie Batman. Now, Batman is essentially billionaire Bruce Wayne whose parents died when he was young and which fuels his fight for justice. He wears a suit, an all black suit, and you know he fights criminals by hand. He doesn't use guns, he doesn't use knives, he doesn't he does use his money, but all in all he's a one man show. He's the Batman, right? Now if you've ever watched the Batman, then you know that, or especially Christopher Nolan's version of the Batman, you know that Batman has a few rules. Batman has integrity, right? And this is especially showcased with his fight or with his saga against his arch nemesis Joker, right? And now Joker is he's completely insane. He's gone crazy, and in a lot of cases he's done a lot of stuff that deserves the death penalty. Joker should die, but Batman doesn't kill him because that's against his integrity, right? And kindness is exactly like that. By that I mean that kindness is completely analogous to the situation that Batman faces on the daily. Batman encounters a bunch of criminals that torture people, that kill a lot of people, that have murdered, that have extorted, that have stolen, etc., etc. You know, the list goes on. But Batman still locks them up in jail because that is what he's supposed to do. He has it's integral to his character. He has some integrity and he sticks by it, and that's exactly what kindness is, especially relevant to these times. In a world as cruel as ours, as apathetic as ours, kindness is integrity. I mean, it's extremely easy to go ahead and act humanly. It's very easy to be angry, be enraged. It's extremely human to engage in a tit for tat response at whatever injustice that has been inflicted upon you. And to be fair, there was a lot of injustice that had been inflicted on Batman himself. Nobody should watch their own parents die, especially at 8 years old. You know, especially somebody as privileged as Bruce Wayne, who had never known a single problem in his life, had suddenly become an orphan. His parents were shot right in front of him, and he had to fend for himself with his butler, who he didn't really know anyone. But anyways, Batman isn't really the main point of this video. The main point of this video is that, like Batman sacrificed his human nature, like Batman sacrificed his humanity, to be kind we have to sacrifice our humanity too, and that is direct contrast to, you know, a psychopathic nature or a narcissistic or psychopathic or a Machiavellian nature. You know, any of the dark triad traits have sacrificed their humanity in order to manipulate everyone around them, in order to work solely for their own gain. And the contrast is kindness, wherein we sacrifice our humanity to ensure the gain of everyone else around us, right? When we talk about the dark triad traits, we sacrifice our humanity, we sacrifice our human nature of community to ensure that our versions of ourselves, our egos are at the top, are at our height. Rather, we get everything that we think we deserve, or we get everything that we want. That's what somebody that's what somebody of a psychopathic or Machiavellian or a narcissistic nature considers or thinks to be the way of life for everyone around him, not only for themselves but for everyone around him. Whereas kindness is something completely foreign to humanity as a concept, regardless of what time we are living in. Kindness as a concept is something supposed to be completely foreign. It's supposed to be an anomaly, because we sacrifice our humanity, we sacrifice whatever justifiable logical decision there is to take against a perpetrator to make sure that we grant them grace, or we grant them the opportunity that everyone else currently does have, even though they don't deserve it. That's what kindness essentially is. Coming back to the statement, it costs $0 to be kind. It does not cost $0 to be kind, literally and figuratively. Literally, it doesn't cost $0 to be kind because, as you can see, Batman has to go through a lot to ensure that the criminals are locked up, and when there's right back out, he locks them up again, and it's essentially a cat and mouse chase, right? It doesn't lead anywhere, but because of Batman's integrity, because of Batman's kindness, that is showcased through his integral values of not killing somebody, we can see and we can find that it doesn't cost $0. It doesn't cost like $0 to be kind. Figuratively, it costs a lot to be kind because it costs ourselves, our own humanity. And many a times kindness has killed a lot of people because compassion is not a trait or is not a virtue that everyone shares. Just because you like something or you just because you like something or somebody doesn't mean that something or somebody will like you back, right? That's like caring for a crocodile or an alligator. The thing about crocodile or alligators is that they don't really, or any other animal for that matter. You know, people really love lions, people really love wild animals like tigers, hippos or alligators, but they always keep a very, very safe distance from them because they know that the moment the alligator or the lion or the tiger finds a chance, it will eat or it will kill their caretakers because they don't know what compassion is. Compassion is something that's not shared by everybody, but it is something, but it is a fundamental quality that rests in all humans. It is a fundamental quality that we can see in every single human being, no matter how cold or no matter how emotionless they may seem. Right? There's different ways to awaken a compassion inside a human being, even though they're psychopathic, even though they fundamentally cannot feel any emotions, even though they're Machiavellian, even though they're narcissistic. There's different ways to awaken a compassion inside each and every human being. And that's because in an unkind, cruel world, kindness as an identity costs you your humanity. And that is something that we all have to take care of because we don't see it in our everyday lives. You know, I myself, personally speaking, I'm not kind a lot of the time. I consciously see or I subconsciously see something happening right, something wrong happening right in front of my eyes, and I pretend, I won't say I pretend, but I go and react very humanly to it. If somebody is angry towards me, I am angry towards them too, and that's a very human thing to do. That's a part of our human nature, right? Because according to our survival instinct that guides almost all of our reactions. I think that unless it's something compassion, kindness or love related, our survival instinct reacts in almost every single aspect of our lives, at least a little bit. Because if somebody is getting angry, then it makes sense that we get angry too, because in a slight off chance that the certain person gets angry and attacks us, we have to be ready to defend ourselves and counter attack too. That's exactly what our monkey brains, that's exactly what our survival instinct thinks when a normal human conversation happens between two people. And our survival instinct is not something that we should disregard completely, because it keeps us alive, because in 90% of situations it keeps us alive, and it always has kept us alive. Especially when we talk about times like these, situations like these, when not everybody is kind, almost nobody is kind, like nobody knows what true kindness is. Everybody says, I donated this to charity and I donated that to charity and I helped XYZ, I helped an old woman across the road. But most people don't really do it because they want to help the old woman across the road. Most people do it because helping an old woman across the road is a nice thing to do. And there's a very big difference between the two of them. Helping an old woman across the road because she needs help, and helping an old woman across the road because it's the right thing to do, are two very different things, even though the outcome may be the same. And the difference between them is sustainability. Helping an old woman across the road because it's the right thing to do is inevitably bound to fail because of its nature. It's inevitably bound to fail because someday or the other you will not be as integral as you are right now. Someday or the other you will not think about what the right thing to do is. And that's very important, because if you think about helping an old woman across the road because she needs help, that's something that's acted out of compassion. It is necessary to help the old woman cross the road, and that's why you're doing it. And every time you see an old woman or an old man or anybody that needs help crossing the road, your sense of necessity kicks in, no matter your integrity. Because as long as it's necessary, your body and your brain will be subject to carrying it out. They have to carry it out, and that's how our brains work. And the second reason why people are kind is because they're too scared to be unkind. Is because society enforces us to do all of these nice things to each other, and that's why people do a lot of nice things to each other out of courtesy or out of habit, I'd rather say. Not out of courtesy, but rather out of habit. Because we've been taught how to be kind, and that's why we're kind. We cannot be taught how to be kind. Kindness is something that originates from us. It originates out of us, it originates out of our thoughts and our feelings and our emotions. And that's the gift of humanity. Humans as a species are the only species, or rather one of the only species, that show a selfless compassion to things and to people around it. That's why we have pets. Dogs don't keep other dogs as pets. Dogs don't keep other cats as pets. If a bunch of dogs surround a cat, they will most likely end up killing it. They will most likely end up tearing it to shreds. But not us. We do it because we like dogs. Like I said, there are some zookeepers, there are some animal keepers who care for crocodiles, and that's insane because crocodiles aren't even cute. Have some sort of a vanity metric to them. Dogs are nice. Dogs protect you. Uh, Dogs play fetch. Dogs are cute to look at. Dogs, they understand human emotions, at least on some level. Dogs feel compassion. They feel love towards their owner. And cats don't necessarily do the same things as dogs do, but cats also embody some of these vanity metrics. Anything that looks really cute or looks really good, humans will tend to care for them because that's some sort of instinct that's been inside us for a very long time. I'm not exactly sure, but take a look at crocodiles. I've seen people caring for crocodiles, and that's an extremely illogical thing to do because crocodiles aren't any of these things. Crocodiles aren't cute, they don't give you anything in return, they will kill you if they get the chance, and they live inside the water and they're huge, they're very scary, but we still care for them. If you ever watched the movie Interstellar, where Anne Hathaway, Dr. Brand, she's in love with Dr. Wolf Edmonds, who's been dead for over 10 years. That's another example of how human nature, how human selflessness works. Because that evolutionarily, it makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. It makes no sense anyhow. But it's still there, and it's what our world thrives on. It's what our world has thrived on for as long as humanity has existed, which is about more than 200,000 years. I suppose I could be wrong, I don't know. And it is this that shapes or has shaped our world and will continue to shape it as we go into the future. And it is also this that shapes our world right now, because if we were all to act humanly, then we would all be still sitting in caves. We would all act like dogs. If somebody's attacking us, we attack them. Very rarely, and even dogs form packs. Dogs have a sense of community. Humans have the greatest sense of community. But if we were all to act humanly, if we were all to act out of self-interest, if we were all to act out of our own survival instinct, then any of us will not survive today. But because of our sacrifice, because of the way we sacrifice our humanity, which we've lost to showcase our kindness or compassion in, especially with things that give us every logical, reasonable excuse to not be kind, to really look out for ourselves and for ourselves only, lost what it means to be kind. We've lost what it means to be compassionate. And I think that it is only through a rebirth of kindness or a compassion that we will find our way back again. Because the reason most of us are miserable right now, the reason most of us don't know what to do in life, is because we aren't around other people that know what to do in life, or we aren't around other people that don't know what to do in life either. The moment we're around other people, by around other people, I don't mean just physically, but the moment we're around other people that are aware of us being around them, but the moment we're around other people physically, mentally and spiritually, the moment we can connect to somebody at least, is the moment when we find our way back to ourselves.